Okay, so I believe that a lot of people are walking around with entities attached to them and they don't realize it. And I want to talk about the 5 signs that you may have an entity attached to you. Now, with the work that I do, I always encourage and, highly emphasize the fact that you should always be protecting and grounding yourself when doing any sort of spiritual work and truly knowing your power. So it's important to know your power. Like, knowing your power is the number one form of protection, because then you are so familiar with who you are that nothing can actually interfere. Like, your aura is so strong that nothing really stands a chance in your field, is what I'm trying to say. But for a lot of people that are unconscious of this, or they may not be at the point in their spiritual journey that they want to be in and they're kind of delving into it, entities can attach themselves to you, okay? And it can be very, very subtle, and it can progress into more dramatic situations. And I want to talk about the 5 early signs that you can tell that something has attached itself to you. Now, I've experienced most of these and I know how to remove them, and I've done all of that stuff. And I'm at the point now where don't even try. You know what I mean? I will pick up on other people like that. I will pick up if someone else has it in them like that, okay? But you feel like something's a bit off, or you're nervous, or you feel like something's maybe attached itself to you, I'm going to talk to you the early signs. It's important to get it at the early signs because unfortunately it can progress, because your energy is a fuel source for other beings and entities that attach themselves to you. So of course, if they are being fed with life force energy, with your energy, that's going to grow. Okay, and it's important to get rid of this as soon as possible. Now, this video is not to scare anyone. This is a real thing, and I think it's so important to actually discuss this and talk about it, because it does affect your life. And if you are unaware that this is happening, energetically or spiritually to you, I want to point out these signs so that you can pay attention and know what to do about it. Now, if you are going through a severe case of an entity attached to you, or you are having really scary, terrifying experiences, I highly recommend you go see a professional that can help you out and manage those situations. But a lot of these are very subtle, and I'm going to go through them. Number 1 is your thoughts. Now, we all have intrusive thoughts here and there. We all have thoughts based on old programming, experiences, beliefs. Like, thoughts are natural. We all have our own thoughts. But sometimes when doing this work, you will notice that you get thoughts that you don't feel like are coming from you. Like, some of these thoughts can be really dark, and some of these thoughts can be really triggering to the point where you're like, whoa, that is really, really heavy. Like, why am I thinking these things? This is not like me at all. I've never really had these thoughts, but now I'm thinking really dark things. And that's probably initially the first phase where entities that you cannot see in the spiritual realms have attached themselves to you, and they start to speak through you. So you think that because it's coming from inside you, that it's you and it's your thoughts, when it's not always the case. In my experience, when an entity has been attached, I will start to think thoughts that I'm like, why am I thinking that? That is awful. That's not me. And I'd start to think, oh my God, I'm a horrible person for thinking that. Like, why am I thinking that? It was never really me. It was the fact that I had done spiritual work without understanding what I was doing in the early days. I had no idea what I was doing. I was kind of just pulled into this work. I wasn't protecting myself, or I didn't really know my power. So I was just a booming energy source for other energies and entities. So of course I was the meal. I was like the target, okay? And I noticed that I was like, whoa, like, why do I feel like so like this, like these thoughts just keep coming in, like really, really scary thoughts. That's the number 1 sign, okay? You will start to think thoughts that aren't you, and it's almost as though they won't go away. Like, you will be like, oh my God, stop thinking that, but it will just keep coming through, and you start to realize, okay, this isn't even me, like this is something else. In severe cases, these voices can come through and kind of convince you that you're sick, or convince you that you're going to die, or convince you that something bad's going to happen. And nothing bad is going to happen. It's just the fact that this energy is trying to instill that into you and gain control over you and gain power over you. Because when you're in fear of dying, of being sick, of all these things, you start to, we know the placebo effect, we know mind-body connection, like you start to really fall into fear, and you're so easily manipulated and all that stuff. So it can transition from just subtle to extreme, and that's why it's important to stay aware what's yours, what's not yours, and know who you are, so that if there is something attached to you, you know straight away that's not me and you can remove it. Number 2 is physical symptoms. When I first started doing this work, and I didn't really know what I was doing, and this was like 5 years ago when I first was pulled into this, like it was a completely spontaneous, no, it wasn't spontaneous, but it was a spiritual awakening that I was pulled into because of life experiences. Where I'm at now, it all makes sense. If I could go back, I wouldn't have gone through it the way that I did, but that's the plan that was for me, and that's what I had to go through to master it and to learn through struggle what's right and what's wrong. So you will get physical symptoms, and in my early days, I used to go through psychic attacks, and I would have marks on my body. Like, you see scary movies that have this narrative of like extremes, and it can start with scratches on your body or bruises, unexplained things that you're like, why do I have like a bruise here? It's a psychic attack that you're going through. An entity has attached itself. It is fueling. It is trying to get to you. It is trying to scare you. It is trying to take control over you. Now, you also can experience like extreme tiredness, extreme fatigue, extreme headaches. You know, there's no real medical explanation. You know, doctors can say, take your vitamins, eat proper food. You could still be doing all that stuff, but the energetic attachment that the entity has kind of plugged into your being is like sucking your life force energy out. So now you're paying the price, and you're thinking, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel so shit? Why do I have these like health things coming up? It's not that you're actually unhealthy. It's not that you're actually tired. It's that you're energetically being depleted. And so that is number 2. You will have physical symptoms. Number 3 is you will feel like there's something watching you. You will feel like something's watching you. You will feel like you're never alone, and you will get an eerie feeling about it. I'm a psychic medium. I connect with people from the other side all the time. And if it is a real connection, it comes with love. It comes with clarity. It comes with good vibes. You don't feel scared. But when it's something of a lower vibration, an entity attaching itself to you and feeding off you, you will feel heavy. You will feel icky. You will feel like, I want to turn all the lights on and I never want to be alone again, because you were so scared. And it instills fear into you, knowing and feeling like someone's watching you. Okay, you'll have a sense that there's something or someone in your environment. Okay, if you were super tuned in, you can actually get snippets of what that looks like. And trust me, I've had my rounds of deities and lower vibrational beings that I can understand it and not muck around with that work. But you will get snippets of what it looks like, and it can be quite scary. Okay, so if you feel like you're constantly being watched, or you constantly feel like there's someone in your space, that is the sign that there is something attached to you, and it is trying to make you aware of it, which is icky, yucky, no thank you. Number 4 is disruption with your sleep. Okay, we know that in sleep we are off doing our spiritual stuff. We're having dreams, we're in the dream world, we're astral projecting, we're doing all this stuff. And a lot of the times, if you have an entity attached to you, you can have scary experiences as night. Okay, you can have struggle going to sleep. Okay, you can have nightmares. You can have dreams that are extremely vivid and scary and feel so real that you're like, holy shit, like what was that about? Okay, you may even experience sleep paralysis. Okay, I know when I was going through the depths of this and I wasn't sure what was going on or how to handle it, I would consistently wake up in sleep paralysis. I would get the heaviest, yuckiest feeling. If you've had sleep paralysis, you know it is the worst feeling ever. It feels disgusting. And in sleep paralysis, oftentimes a lot of people say they see shadow people, they see deities, they see other beings, and it's really, really terrifying. Or they can feel like there's a weight on them, or that someone's trying to pull them, or they're falling down into their bed. All these different types of sensations and experiences are honestly like terrifying. Like you could be the bravest person in the world and it would still terrify you. So if you have trouble with your sleep and you're having those scary experiences, that is also the 4th sign that you have something that has attached itself to you. The last one is you will start to have different influences in your behavior. You will start to do things that are destructive. You will start to do things that aren't for your highest timeline, aren't you. aren't normally you, and you'll start to try and like sabotage your life. And it's not that you're actually doing this, but you're having this external influence come in and play with you and play with your emotions and play with your feelings and your thoughts and convince you to do things that aren't like you and get you off track, because then you become lower, you decrease, you feel, you know, you're easily manipulated when you aren't acting like yourself and you're not feeling like yourself, and you feel low and you feel like self-destructing and doing things that aren't in your character. Okay, so these things are very real. Those are the 5 signs that you may have an entity attached to you. These things are so real when doing this work, and that's why protection, grounding, knowing your power is so important, and never allowing any other being to ever control you or even have access to your energy field. I know for me personally, even my whole space is like so sacred to me. There is not one thing that will ever enter my space aside from me and my dogs. Okay, nothing comes in, nothing comes out. This is my space. Nothing ever interferes with my space. Make sure that your space is the exact same. Make sure that you are protective of your space, of your energy field. You know who you are. You don't be tormented and mucked around by other beings, because they will do that if they see that you are weak, if they see that you will fall into the trap of believing that it's you, if you won't do anything about it, and you will start to question yourself and you will start to spiral downward. Okay, prick it from the beginning. If you start to experience these things and feel like there's something there, cleanse your energy, go see a professional, go get it fixed straight away and protect yourself. The more energetic hygiene rituals you build up, the less affected you are. You are no longer the energy source that they are going to go to, because they know that they cannot muck around with you. You are so firm in your power and who you are that they don't go for you. Okay, that's where you should be at. Okay, and if you are going into the spiritual work, okay, and doing the practices, it's important to become aware of all the possibilities that can happen so that you can act accordingly. Okay, don't go into this work and think that it's all rainbows and sunshines and that you're just going to become this enlightened being. There's so many factors that go into it, and it's so important that you're not mucking around with that stuff, because it can influence your human life. Okay, so protect your energy. Don't do work that you're not meant to be doing. Okay, and make sure that you remove those energies from the get-go and don't let them linger and fuel. Okay, if you want to hear more of psychic talks, mediumship, connect with other beings, I have a private community called Beyond the Veil, where I talk with so many different psychic mediums and we connect and we share experiences and stories. And if you want to join the community, go to the link. It's called Beyond the Veil. Other than that, I love you guys so much. I will see you in my next video, and go protect your energy. Okay, go create a sacred space that you cannot be mucked around with. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.